Good afternoon, ladies and gents, and you join me from the St James's Gardens in Limehouse, and what we're looking at here is one of London's lost churches, the site where it was. Nothing of the original church remains, but a little more of the history when we get onto that in a sec. The cycle lane, a pretty plain and ordinary looking place, one of London's little gardens, but this was, from the only image I was able to discover of it, a nice little church in its day. So yeah, it's a shame. All that remains of the church to remind us that there was once a church here is the First World War memorial. 1914, 1918. Even the names are so faded away, look, that you can barely see them. You can see them a lot better on the screen than you can with the eye, actually. We'll go around this side and I'm out of the way then. And then on to the history. Alright, let's just pause you a moment for we have notes. St James Ratcliffe, Butcher Row, built by the Bishop Bloomfield Metropolitan Churches Fund and designed by Edward Lappage, and opened and consecrated in August 1833. It was gutted by incendiary bombs on Saturday the 7th of September 1940, never rebuilt, and the parish was united with St Paul's Shadwell in 1951 and the ruins taken down in the same year. Which will become another part of our video, but the site on which the church stands in this area over here, or a part of the church stood, is the Royal Foundation of St Catherine, its East London home. So yeah, nothing remains of the past, as I say, but from one little image and a map we're able to venture back into the past to see what was once here. So join me for that now, ladies and gents, as we head back into the past and see the old church of St James Ratcliffe, Butcher Row. Off we go into the past. And here we are back into the past, and you see it, one of London's lost churches, very much in the traditional style. It's a shame this one's been lost because it looks a nice little church. It lost a large swathe of its churchyard when the Rotherhithe Tunnel was built, and then the rest of the church fell to the destruction of the Second World War. And here we see it on this map from the mid-1830s. I've marked it off in blue, the church of its churchyard, and you've got Butcher Row right to the side of it. So yeah, it's another little piece of London's past and a lost church. And that leads us on to our next location, and you're going to see it very much as it was just after the war, which will give you a shock because it looks a hell of a lot better now. So on to our next one, which is the Old Vicarage, which is now part of the Foundation of St Catherine, the Royal Foundation of St Catherine. It wasn't always a vicarage, but on to that now. There we are, you've seen it as it was, post-war, and looking very sorry for itself, and now you're seeing it now. So a little of the history of this place. The former St James Vicarage, which was the vicarage of St James Ratcliffe Church, but not always, only became the vicarage when the church was built in 1833. Before that, this Georgian house, built between 1795 and 1796 for sugar refiner and director of the Phoenix Assurance Company, Matthew Whiting, and the house was originally called the Master's House. The house sustained damage during World War II when the church was destroyed, and in 1948 the vicarage became part of the East London home of the Royal Foundation of St Catherine, which is what we see today. And what our next thing is this blue plaque here. English Heritage. The Reverend St John Grosser, 1890 to 1966. Priest and social reformer, lived here, and he's a very fascinating man. So I shall read you a bit about him. I have notes everywhere. Here we go. The Reverend St John Beverley Grosser, Military Cross, 1890 to 1966. Anglican priest and prominent Christian socialist, described as the best known priest in the East End by Hanan Swafer. And Kenneth Leach described him as one of the most significant Christian socialist figures of the 20th century. He served in World War I in the British Expeditionary Force and won the Military Cross. He was also an actor. In 1946 he acted as Father John in Land of Promise, and in 1949 as Thomas Becket in T S Elliott's Murder in the Cathedral. He served as vicar to the Royal Foundation of St Catherine, and that's what this house became part of. And so now a little bit of his history. And here we see the Reverend St John Grosser in 1949 playing Thomas Becket in T S Elliott's Murder in the Cathedral. Another image from the same production. So quite a well-known man and quite famous in his day. And here we see him as priest and man at the Foundation of St Catherine. Hope you all enjoyed that and found it interesting. We've had a bit of everything in this one. A lost church, London lives, and a good bit of history. Take care and thanks for watching.